Sideline of goal! Late Widow's doing it! They're gonna take! He's gonna bring down Burning! Alone with a double kill! Dropping fast! Monopoint's there! He's still alive! Wait, second slide! He's got one side! He's got a second! He's taking it! Oh my god! On three! They're all dead!
Welcome back, folks. We've got one final game today. It's a little bit of a surprise matchup. It was scheduled in just at the last hour last night. We've got the Power Rangers versus Team Tinker. We've seen Team Marino, Tinkerino quite a bit, and they've been off to a good start here in the group stage of the Summit 2 Europe by G2A.com. I'm Sayori, joined once again by Blaze Areno. Blaze, good sir, what's the good word?
Looking at this matchup, it's going to be a tough one for Power Rangers. They have shown the ability to take games off Tier 1 teams, but with two stand-ins on top, it looks a little dicey, and already looking at the draft, I'm kind of concerned. Power Rangers here are faced with Zordon and his command center with Io and Tiny. They're getting their own leaders against them. I don't know. This is a classic EGM combo. This is going to be very difficult to deal with for any team, and the fact they let it slip through shows they have some plans. They wouldn't just not ban the Wisp unless they really, really fear Brewmaster and Legion Commander for some reason. But yeah, I think they have to have a good answer. Right now, Tide, Skywrath, they're okay, but they're nothing special. And I definitely think they need a little more. We've seen different heroes be able to deal with them. Jakiro and Enigma are good at taking down the heroes when they relocate in with the Ice Path, with the Black Hole. Maybe could go for Disruptor, throw somebody back, but he's kind of weird to gank with Skywrath Mage. So, I don't know. We'll have to see what they come up with, but it's a difficult draft to go up against, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think that's an undoubted truth.
5 seconds
Team Tinker, they'll grab Ogre Magi here, and pretty scary when paired with Tiny. That Bloodlust on top of a big rock with a Whomping Willow. Oh, my Lanta Blaze. I'm getting nightmares just thinking about it.
Yeah, it's such an amazing combo, and with EGM being the Wisp player in particular, like, it doesn't matter who the Tiny is. Obviously, we've seen what pairings they like to go with in the past, but just the IO is the one that really defines where the movement takes place, how they're going to be able to bail out of bad situations. Like, if the Wisp stays back, you don't even have to be afraid of a Ravage, because you're going to be able to start to relocate somewhere, tether in to bail out the Tiny in a bad situation, and yeah, going for a hard magical damage out of the Skywrath isn't the best thing either, but it was their first pick. It wasn't a reactive one, so maybe they can make the most of it, try to go for a quick silence on the IO when he's tethering in or something, try to prevent that relocate, but it's damn hard.
Yeah, Power Rangers will burn a lot of their bonus time trying to decide what the best way to handle it is, and they do grab a very aggressive support in that of the Witch Doctor, so maybe hoping to have some presence in lane. Nice thing about Witch Doctor against Tiny Wisp is the healing, the Voodoo Restoration there does help out a little bit. It stops Tiny's burst in those initial levels before he's like kind of capped out at level 8, level 9. And they might be looking for some more setup, possibly a Faceless Void 4th pick for the Power Rangers. Some big ultimates to go into it. So
5 seconds remaining.
I like the idea, but is it actually going to be enough, Blaze? They're trying to like kind of fight offense with offense here, it seems.
Yeah, I think the Void is a pretty important pickup to go with here. I don't know if they're absolutely going to do it, but for the sake of the stand-ins, I hope they do. It's probably one of the easier combos that you can land, featuring the Skywrath and the Witch Doctor, so probably a good idea. And actually, when I look at Witch Doctor versus Tiny Wisp, it's the other abilities that I really examine as the big counterplay ones. The Cask is really good against them because they're always going to be close together because of the tether, so you're going to get quite a few bounces out of that. And the Death Ward, doing physical damage against two heroes that have essentially no base armor, can be really potent as well. So we'll see if the Witch Doctor can play that 4 position well enough to get maybe an Ag Scepter and really let the bounces fly, but at least for now, he's an okay option, but they're still rather immobile. They need heroes that can move quick. The Centaur, not going to be in play because the Tidehunter was picked up. So Void, I definitely think is going to be one of their options, but other than that, they need a mobile mid that can survive the onslaught of a dual lane.
Yeah, and here you've got another scary hero in the hands of Team Tinker. The Fairy Dragon Puck will be grabbed for probably the mid lane. They have a lot of options. They could off-lane the Puck, do the Wisp Tiny mid. They could put Wisp Tiny in the safe lane, throw the Puck mid. They could even put Puck safe lane. They could kind of lane this however they want. And the last pick will probably be a little more telling.
Yeah, because
terms
the
of
change
offliners.
to runes and the fact there are 2 runes on the table now, I don't think I've seen, since 6.82 came out, a Tiny Wisp that didn't go mid lane.
5
I have
seconds
seen it
remaining.
once,
Okay.
and one of the might have been one of the qualifier games for Starladder EU. So maybe not the
Reserve
best
time.
sample, but you're right. It is a bit stronger in the mid lane now.
And they got the Bloodlust too. Tiny's going to be wailing away with those killing off those towers. He's going to be able to do a lot of work in the mid to late game. And yeah, the question is, how well do they set him up here? He also likes to go for things like Manta style, which is good against Skywrath. You can still kind of Manta. You can get good movement speed on him against a hero that usually is very fast base MS. With the Grow ultimate giving movement speed, with the Manta style enhancing it, you can keep pace with these kinds of heroes, and you can Manta out of silence to get those big stun combos. Maybe toss
10
a
seconds
ball of light at
remaining.
him. Puck and IO, I guess, can do that. But I like this pickup from Power Rangers. It is a bit of a rat play here. The Cheshire Cat, Nature's Prophet, is one that isn't the standard Nature's Prophet. You look at it, you say, okay, well, yeah, he can push. Yeah, he can rat. Yeah, he can farm up and maybe accomplishing something later in the game. But Cheshire Cat likes to get involved
10
early.
seconds
He likes to
remaining.
TP in, and he likes to make things happen. So if they get a
5
hero that they can
seconds
gank
remaining.
for that'll do that very well, then I think they're going to be in a really good spot. So we'll see if Witch Doctor and Nature's Prophet collaborate a lot early. If they get things like Sprout and Cask on their targets of choice, they do have some decent chance here. And I also think that the build that I usually frown upon, the No Talisman plus Blade Mail buildup, I think it would be really strong here, considering you can predict the Ogre's focus
10
target pretty
seconds
easily,
remaining.
and the Tiny Wisp, they're all about doing that quick burst of
Dire
AoE
team
damage.
pick.
Got to get those null tallies, baby. We'll see Viper now picked up by Tinker. Oh my
Radiant
gosh,
team
dude.
pick.
This is a really scary Dire lineup just across the board. They've got lane dominators, they've got mid-game team fight, and they've got late game with Tiny. They've got a little bit of everything. And Power Rangers, they have a little bit of everything, but in a very different way, in a way that's not nearly as scary. They'll grab...
Oh!
Mind blown here, Blaze. They're Bob Dylan, their stand-in, the Rolling Stone. He's going to be the Huskar player. Wow.
That is an interesting one there. I think Pygot's going to have to go for a Nether Toxin build based on that. Maybe even see a Medallion of Courage picked up on somebody like Ogre Magi to deal with this hero. They don't really have actually some great answers in the early game. Like, I think Viper Nether Toxin is probably the best thing they're going to get because everything else is quite magical. So, yeah,
for
value
battle.
point of Bloodlust, get 2 points Nether Toxin pretty early for Pycat and try to go toe-to-toe with him or before he gets too big. But it is a very interesting pick that answers a lot of what Team Tinker are bringing, and I love to see it.
Yeah, I haven't seen a Husker in a while, and oh, they've got the little octopus carrier. This thing's so cute, little Inky the octopus, whatever his name is. What do you think about Husker in general right now, Blaze? Like, is he weak sauce? Is he strong sauce? How spicy
Situational.
is this guy?
Situational is the key word. Like, you could just stamp that on his paperwork 8 times over. He is extremely, extremely situational, but has some real great potency. He actually got some buffs in the last patch, and most pro players thought he was really situationally viable in
30
6.81.
seconds to
So in the newer metagame, there's still even more of a place for him with those buffs. And yeah, I'm curious to see exactly how this new life break plays out in particular. It's not as critical for damaging himself, but it also obviously doesn't do as much damage to the opposition, though it is always on a 12-second cooldown, down to 4 with the Aghanim Scepter. So I guess that's a key aspect of the new Huskar, but in my mind, Huskar is still the same hero. It's all about negating magical damage, attacking fast at low HP, and trying to keep yourself up with that inner vitality.
He's usually paired best with some sort of a defensive support that can help him out with those heals so he can stay low but not get taken down. And Witch Doctor kind of does that with the Voodoo Restoration, but not nearly as strong as somebody like a Dazzle, one of the classic pairings. Even an Omni Knight with the Repel heal has some options there. Even Treant can be pretty solid with a clutch living armor. But very curious to see how this lane will actually work out. But let's introduce some rosters here. We got the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Radiant side. 2 stand-ins today. Bob Dylan, the Rolling Stone, going to be on Huskar here in the safe lane. The other stand-in, Saneko, going to be on the Witch Doctor. J4 will be on the Skywrath Mage. We've got Cheshire Cat, solo mid on the NP, and up top, it'll be Shotchlo on the Octopus Tidehunter. And, well, Bulba's going to go ahead and throw an Ignite on him right away. So, going to fight water with fire here.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how he builds up. I definitely think they need to prioritize a mechanism on either Cheshire Cat or on Deshachlo. Another item that I just now thought of as an item that actually he might be able to consider is the Crimson Guard. I don't know about this game because Tiny is all about getting a large amount of damage in a single auto attack rather than a bunch interspersed at lower values. But I definitely think in general that Crimson Guard is an item that he can consider because 50 damage block when you're almost immortal to magical damage, it's similar to the value you can get out of it from an anti-mage. So although you don't generally want Vanguard on range heroes, I could see it in the right situation, but probably not this game.
Yeah. Now on the dire side, we've got Team Tinker. Koikva will go off lane on the Fairy Dragon. It will be EGM on the Wisp and Sing Sing on the Tiny, both in the mid, doing a 2-2-1 with Bulba. He's on the Ogre Magi up top, and that's going to be a safe lane farming Piecat. He's going to be on the Viper and racking up the farm out of the gate here, as there's not a hell of a lot Shochalo can do to slow him down.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting to see how Team Tinker kind of go up against this and how they respond to it. For now, just getting some good lane control. This is what you expected out of the draft. The Viper pick in particular emphasizes lane control in general. Like, they don't have that great a team fight. Dream Coil sets up relocates, but that's for pickoffs on 2 to 3 heroes. It's not for a 5-on-5. So that's the one thing that I really look at Viper. He's not a hero that follows up Dream Coil, so they're not looking to 5v5. They're just looking to go for the rat plays, to kill off towers when they have the opportunity to with the Tiny Wisp, and otherwise go for those easier pickoffs as they transition into the mid game.
So out of the gate, a pretty quiet early game here. No first blood, even attempts really. Both sides just happy to get some farm on their core heroes. A Rolling Stone is the last hit leader. Right up there with the Tiny, right around 12-13. Koikva doing okay in the offlane. He's found his level 2, spamming with the orb whenever he can, but they will shove into this tower, and it looks like Power Rangers will try to knock down this tower sooner rather than later. The Glyph comes out straight away to mitigate the damage from that first wave, shoving into it, and now lane control will kind of come back in their favor at least a little. Shochalo having a slightly better time than the puck, actually, able to stay a little bit closer to the creep wave. Piecat harassing him some, but all things considered, the Tide is pretty tanky. Has 2 points in that anchor smash, and will soon be level 4.
This is really interesting from Cheshire Cat. In the mid lane, he's actually going to go for a Bottle Crow jungle strat, where essentially he's close enough to the fountain to make the Bottle Crow really worthwhile, and he is going to be able to get a lot of mana for his Nature's Call to take out a couple of camps when the creep wave is away, and it's just too far extended. We do see a bit of a skirmish on the top rune, but this is a Tide with a magic stick. He's not going to be going down easy, so they won't even commit for it. But yeah, whenever the creep wave is this far forward, up on the high ground of the dire side, Cheshire Cat has no place to be in the lane. If he goes into the river, he dies. So this is actually a pretty smart way to work around that. And you also look at Witch Doctor's inventory and see a TP scroll. Seneko is ready to TP rotate to the mid lane if Tiny Wisp go in, and they might be able to get the turnaround with that level 2 cask.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And interesting from the Cheshire Cat, as you mentioned, the only problem here is his farm is not going to be able to compete with that of the free farming Tiny. And out of the gate, I would imagine Tinker have a pretty solid little lead for themselves, at least in farm. And yeah, about 400 gold. Experience not quite going their way because the jungle aspect will hold that thought as there's initiation down here. EGM will well go down. There's your first blood. The cask bounces right back to him. And Witch Doctor gets all that bonus gold as Koikva, now forced to retreat, will survive. But first blood is conceded, and EGM will die with a TP back towards the mid lane.
Cheshire Cat, though, going to take some real damage here. He gets tossed up in the air, and EGM's here with the balls as well. Bulba with the flank. They're going to get it without him, but he gets a nice little sum of experience and AoE gold bounty. But
that's another one of those where if Wisp hadn't died there, he wouldn't have TP'd to that tower, and they probably wouldn't have been able to set up that kill quite so easily. So not the worst case in terms of the Bloodlust, as it does allow Tiny to get a kill on the board.
Yeah, they still give Witch Doctor the first blood, though, so if he can make some real value out of that gold, I think it's more value for Power Rangers, but all the same, like you said, not too bad. It actually was the catalyst that set that second blood in motion. But I still think it was an error as far as positioning goes,
Definitely.
the phase shift not dodging the paralyzing cask, and it definitely wasn't how they wanted to start it off, but not too bad of a finish.
So Witch Doctor TPs to the tier 2 tower in the top lane, rendezvous with the Skywrath, and they'll smoke. You've got a level 3 set of supports on Power Rangers. They'll rendezvous now with Shochalo, and they want to kill Piecat. He's close to level 6, but doesn't have it yet, and does have his power treads. Gush from Shochalo to get it started. Seneko holding on to the cask. There's your silence from the Skywrath, and they'll have enough damage to bring him down. They hold the cask for that last second. Viper falls actually to the creeps as now Bulba comes in. Not going to be able to do anything to save the Viper, and we'll just have to use that ogre body to walk back to the tier 1 tower still standing, and he'll be okay.
Yeah. And this will give Shoshlo some good feelings up top here. They get the Sentry Ward down so they know he's not being just pressured by a lane ward against him as well. He's able to just get a few free CS here. He's going to be at Ravage very soon. But good feelings is not going to save your life in a bad situation. And Bubble with the slow, Pycat with the follow-up, Shoshlo going down.
Yeah, and Pycat with the Bloodlust. It's only 1 point, but still makes chasing down the Tidehunter that much easier. And I was caught up on the Bloodlust to be used on the Tiny towards the late game, but also really valuable on the Viper. He's already got so many slows hard to get away from, and with all that extra attack speed and movement speed, it makes the Viper a lot more potent.
Yeah, I think that they need to really look into more points in Nether Toxin, though. Like, right now, Corrosive might still be an ability you need to max out against the roaming supports like Skywrath, but you definitely need to probably get at least the max Nether Toxin before Poison Attack, because physical damage, getting each of those attacks to trigger with the Bloodlust attack speed amplification is how you bring Huskar down, because he's going for the armlet. He's going to be sitting on low HP for a long time. It's how the hero plays. So Nether Toxin is the way you answer that, and we'll see if he actually scales that up soon enough, because Huskar is going to be snowballing pretty quickly if he gets that armlet out at like the 9-minute mark, and Viper is their only answer.
He's pretty much there, actually. He's going to have it before the 9-minute mark, it looks like. Mid lane, we'll see a fight break out as there's a rotation from PR, but Sing Sing, he goes in onto the Skywrath, turns it around, and EGM feeding him plenty of healing from that overcharge. Not what Power Rangers had in mind by any stretch of the imagination, as they feed another one away, and that puts Tony now 2-0-0 and secures his Drum of Endurance.
Yeah, so Sing Sing going for the mana play, and he's looking pretty good. But as you mentioned, the Huskar, he's very, very fast with this build up here. And yeah, the armlet already on the recipe, so yeah, he gets it at before the 8-minute mark. I mean, armlet is already an item that you want to get as quickly as possible, but this is almost insane. Like, the way he's farmed, obviously nearly free farm, and the supports are creating space up top, but even still, if they don't respect this armlet, they're going to just get torn apart by it.
Respect the armlet, says Blaze. Probably wise advice, especially this Fairy Dragon. He's just sitting on boots, a couple of stats items. Yeah, if he gets manned up on, if Koikva uses this orb inappropriately, he'll well go down, but it's Koikva. What are we talking about? His individual skill is too high for that, Blaze. He knows his limits. But meanwhile, in the Dire jungle, there's a little stack here, and Sing Sing, man, he's just finding farm left and right. Even 4 skeleton babies. That's making it even more. That's like hashtag efficiency right there. Pulling it back and getting all that little bit extra money.
Yeah, so we're just looking at some good movement across the map in general. The smoke will come out from the supports here, so it looks like they want to go for another play on Pycat, and I think that's really important. I've talked about this a number of times, but that's their answer to Huskar, and they want to keep him suppressed. So this is going to be a move up there. We'll see if they actually have to commit the Ravage for it, though. That Viper is more significantly more tanky with the 4 points of corrosive skin, and I think he might be able to survive if they don't commit an ultimate.
Yeah, very defensive build from Pycat. If they want to burn the Ravage for it, will probably be a kill, but I guess it's worth a solo Ravage on the Viper if you can get it, but they don't even seem interested in that. Instead, they'll rotate towards the mid. They want to slow down this Tiny, and they'll find him and EGM in the jungle.
Find.
This is a big opportunity. Gush flying through. They won't even need the Ravage. Nature's Prophet gets a double, almost a deny from the Satyr. We were close to a double deny there, Blaze, but Cheshire Cat uses the Wrath of Nature.
Bottom lane jumps on Koikwa. That's already the death of Koikwa just from the damage over time, but can they get the return kill? They Vitality, Inner Vitality, the mitigation of the magical damage. It's enough to hold off Bulba, but Pycat goes in for the kill. So a great pickup for Power Rangers in general, but at the very least they make the bottom exchange a 1-for-1. So it's not death everywhere, but it is a huge boon for Power Rangers to find that kind of opportunity, and some great game sense knowing how deep they were farming and how low they indeed were.
Yeah, and with the Tier 1 tower going down, that zeroes out the gold graph, now makes things even for PR, and on the Dire side, it's still Team Tinker with a minor experience lead. In the jungle, we'll see Cheshire Cat get Viper struck by the Pycat, but he TP's back, and he'll be okay.
Yep, so Pycat is going to be going for an Aghanim's Rush here. Pretty interesting. I mean, it is with standard Viper build-up, and it does give him some much-needed durability. This is going to allow him to survive through the Ravage, but eventually he is going to need other items, some things that will enhance his own right-click, as well as maybe a BKB, as not necessarily a second item, but third or fourth to be considered. And that'll help him out substantially. But this Huskar's on the move. This is the guy we have to watch. Always having his ultimate up, essentially, with that short cooldown. He is always looking to find kills. And he's not a flash farmer. This hero doesn't farm creep waves very quickly by comparison to anything Team Tinker have. So he wants to exploit the fact that he can just kill heroes that much more effectively.
Yeah, Quakefo's going to find himself in a sticky wicket here. There are 3 heroes hanging
Really
over the
hit bottom.
tree line. Seneko thinking about TPing out, but oh yeah, in the bottom, they'll jump onto Cheshire Cat. They'll find the kill there, and Witch Doctor was thinking about TPing in, but he did actually cancel it. And said they will roam. They'll find the Wisp as he relocates back, and this will be a freebie.
Tide getting the last hit on that, so he should be able to build up towards his item of choice. It looks like Mechanism is going to come after Cheshire Cat. That's what I think I prefer. So that will allow Shotchlo to go for the Blink Dagger most likely. I mean, obviously, I talked about the value of Crimson Guard, and you can get that on anybody. You don't just have to get it on the Huskar himself, but it is a Tide who wants to pretty much have that block anyways from Kraken Shell, so I would say, actually, Vanguard is worse on Tide than it is on Huskar, and that's a weird thing to say as it is a range hero.
Yeah, certainly so. Glyph comes out on the Radiant side, and probably the Dire as well. Both will do a Tier 1 for Tier 1 exchange, and they will go down just about simultaneously. Dire will delay it a little bit longer as their Glyph comes out, but down she goes, and both teams will get a little gold boost there. Ogre gets the last hit for the Dire, and Huskar will get the last hit here for the Radiant. So that's Arcane Boots now up on Bulba, and Huskar with about 500 gold. What's he got coming on the Courier? Oh, that's just a couple of wards. So still pulling up towards his next item, has picked up his Power Chud. So it looks like Power Rangers, they're not done there. They want to continue on, moving to the Tier 2 tower. They've got a lot of Treant summons, so that will make this a bit easier. Of course, there's another Glyph for the Dire. They'll use it pretty early on in the game as they start making the rotation up towards the top. Tiny is about 2/3 of the way through that Aghanim Scepter, just 1 piece off. And they will not be able to get here in time to save this Tier 2 tower. So a good play from Power Rangers, and they get some extra gold out of this.
Smart from Team Tinker 2 to know their limitations. They cannot 5v5 right now, not up against Ravage. They picked the Viper to go for solo plays, to win lanes, to do things separately, and in the end, if they try to go up against all these ultimates of Power Rangers, they're just not strong enough right now. So we're going to see just kind of farm spread the map style from Team Tinker. They will cut the losses on that Tier 2, possibly should contest the next one, but right now it's going to be a solo pickoff attempt onto the Huskar, which proves to be quite successful.
Yeah, the Rolling Stone is going to get turned into pebbles, but Sing Sing, he gets left behind. The Sprout, the Mystic Flare, and the Death Ward all utilized to bring him down, but well worth it. Tiny, the leading farmer in this game, just hot off that kill. They needed to shut him down, and they will do just that. Was Sing Sing able to buy before he died? No, doesn't look like it. Wow, he lost a lot there.
I think he did buy the Staff of Wizardry, but I'm not sure if it was immediately upon the death, so he definitely lost something.
Never, but yeah, I missed the staff. Okay, so okay, he's in good shape. He's 500 gold away from
nice relocate.
Yeah, EGM will pay with his life, I'd assume, on his way back. Maybe he could tether to the creep wave and make the great escape. Blink Dagger on the Tide, we'll see. Can he get a clutch tether off here? And there we go. EGM, this guy.
He's good.
He's
really?
Good.
Sing Sing's coming in. They're going to play this really nicely with Cloak
Not enough mana for the Ravage. Oh, no. Mana for the Ravage. Oh, no. J4 taking a lot of damage. The Coil setting up these kills. If Sing Sing can do some damage, has a rotation coming up. The heal from Witch Doctor making a big difference. Utilizes the toss. Not enough for the kill. Now Pycat coming in. No ultimate at the ready, but they're going to try to clean this up. Huskar comes in. There's your Ravage. That'll stop them dead in their tracks with so many low health heroes. They'll finish off the Tide. The Rolling Stone gets left behind. He gets finished off. And now they'll continue to be on the chase. Cheshire Cat will look to TP home. And any way to interrupt it. Oh, the toss is on a creep. That's a little unfortunate. But Team Tinker, wow, they saved the Tiny. The Wisp never even goes down. And after all that, it's a 2-for-1 in their favor.
Yeah, they knew that if they were able to tether back to the creep wave, that they could reposition the fight there. They didn't want to bring IO with a buddy. Like, you usually look at that and you're like, okay, well, the turnarounds usually occur when IO brings a friend and then they have a couple TPs in. But that would have put the fight way too far south, away from their tower. But by staggering their TPs, getting in a position where Tiny could just get that avalanche to bail out the Wisp, PR committed a lot of spells just to bring down the lowly solo hero, and then they're not ready for the big fight. Especially, you highlighted it very clearly, that Ravage was not online when they needed it to be, and when it came out, it just was not as impactful as it could have been. So, really, really good fight from Team Tinker, and although they don't naturally have a great 5v5, if they keep playing it like that, they can take any fight.
Yeah, the big thing that kept PR in that a lot longer than otherwise possible was that Voodoo Restoration. Seneko put out a lot of healing as that was a pretty long and drawn-out fight and almost gave PR the power for the turn, but if that Witch Doctor wasn't there or he was picked off early, I think that would have been a completely dominant fight in favor of Team Tinker as they were basically just at the behest of Sing Sing's cooldowns. But speak of the devil, he's found that Whomping Willow, uprooted the tree, and this is when the real farming begins. He's also level 11, and now Tiny is getting scary. Number 1 on net worth by a pretty good bit over the Huskar, up by about 40% or so. Huskar going for, it looks like a Sanj coming up next as they group up to take out the Tier 1 tower in the bottom lane, but the Rolling Stone, man, his snowball has slowed down a lot of momentum as Bulba coming in, gets a multicast onto the Huskar to start things off. In comes Pycat, chipping away at the Tide, but the relocate comes in right in the middle of the fray. Lots of damage, but they actually lose their Wisp. Rolling Stone stands his ground for now. They'll lose Sing Sing as well, but Bulba, he also gets picked off. It's a 2 for 3. Pycat on the run, the tower's gone down, and he'll probably be able to survive. Koikva's off to the backside. No Dream Coil, not much he can do to save Pycat. And it looks like the Viper will indeed go down. So it's a 2 for 4. And Power Rangers get a team fight that they needed to regain that lost footing and once more zero out the gold graph.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that Team Tinker tried to take that one. I mean, the mentality behind it was that there was no Ravage. It was still on cooldown for 30 seconds. They had a possibility of taking the fight based on that fact alone. But as it stood, it just wasn't executed perfectly, and it's probably not what they should be doing. Once you get that Ags on the Tiny, just play a farm game. There's just try to stack minimal towers, go for like gradual counter push with Orb and maybe Spirits, and only jump into fights that you know you have the advantage in. But in this case here, the 5-man Dota wins out for PR, and that's without the Ravage. Now they have it back up with a Blink Dagger, and I honestly fear for Team Tinker's ability to hold the next Tier 2 towers.
Yeah. Definitely right. Considering that fight was without the Ravage, that's what makes it particularly scary. Witch Doctor will start working towards his Aghanims probably. 1,500 gold there, so we'll at least have enough for a point booster, and that's the beginning of a Witch Doctor having some crippling damage output. So PR putting up a very good fight here. Team Tinker, the pretty heavy favorites, but they are certainly not out of it yet, Blaze. Tiny still number 1 in the net worth, and Pycat, he's now completed his Aghanims. So he's pretty tanky, has that short Viper strike, and there is still a little bit of hope for this Dire side. Now, without skipping a beat, Power Rangers move into the Tier 2 mid. Glyph is available on the Dire, but Shotchlo in the front lines, ready to initiate with that level 2 Ravage if the opportunity presents itself. But Team Tinker, yeah, they won't even try to defend this one. And as you were pointing out, I think that's the right call.
Yeah, but it's what they get in exchange is the real question. Can they actually get this Tier 1 tower? Tiny's got the Ags, so there was some real potential, but they didn't relocate onto the tower. Usually you look at this point in the game, the Aghanims is enough for Tiny to be in position to take towers very quickly, and there is no backdoor protection on Tier 1s. So you look at that and you're like, okay, well, maybe we just jump it. We know they're committed to the mid lane. If we relocate top, we can just chunk down that tower with the overcharge. But they don't feel they're that strong enough yet. They waited for the creep wave, and as a result, they don't get anything in exchange. So that would be okay if they could keep playing a farming game, but as they lose space without Tier 2s, and as these wards continue to come out for Power Rangers, hopefully they refresh the ones that have been in place for the past 7 minutes, they can really limit Team Tinker's potential across the map and eventually go for Roche and for high ground.
So what is Huskar looking at here? Obviously,
Halberd, definitely.
Halberd or Sancha Yasha, you think Halberd 100%, I guess?
Yeah, 100%. It's great against Viper, and obviously Sing Sing isn't looking at BKB just yet.
Yeah, that's true. And it also ups the EHP of the Huskar quite a bit also. So, okay, we'll see how it works out for him as there's a smoke rotation from Power Rangers. They'll find a Wisp. EGM, nowhere to tether to, or, well, looks like... What? That was a... Wow, okay. That was a pretty long-range tether right there.
It really was. It's a great skill. I mean, he's only got level 1, of course, but yeah, just even that, you're able to jump such a distance and bail yourself out of a lot of situations. Also helped out top lane when he was being pursued when they kind of routed them from the Tier 1. And yeah, now we just see some crazy shenanigans where everybody's trying to spread it out, create space, and just drag out the game. It's really a delay of game tactic for Team Tinker because they're not in a position to go for the relocate tower plays, and they're not in a position to fight as 5. So right now, just spread the map, force Power Rangers back into their own territory to defend. That will buy you at least 30 seconds of time before the next 5-man push comes through.
Yep. Now, Cheshire Cat has gone for a more utility-style build here. He's picked up the mech and also a Force Staff, so just trying to keep the team safe, and I think it's a smart play. They need to build around this Huskar, and that's exactly what they're doing with this itemization. Also, with him grabbing the mech, opens up for Tidehunter to get that fast Blink Dagger, and I really like that. Anytime you see a Tide going for a mech first, he needs to have a lot of farm, or they need to have another initiator, and here he's the one that needs that fast blink timing. Team Tinker will grab the Tier 1 tower up top, and PR will just press into the Tier 2 here in the bottom lane. Glyph comes out, and Tiny's still womping on that tier 2, and it could end up being a 2-for-1 tower exchange if they're not careful.
I think this is going to be a $1 million Dream Coil situation. They're going to go for the tier 3s, and Koikova's looking to cancel TPs. If he can cancel 2 or 3 TPs, they can go for the high ground right here and now. This is going to be awesome. Tiny's going in the base. They're going to TP, and Koikova's in position, but how many does he stop? 2 TPs succeed, but he cancels shot flows. That's the big one. And they can actually 2v1 shot flow right here.
And is anyone else going to stick around? Nature's Prophet still hanging around. Shotchel will fall. Meanwhile, in the top lane, how are things going? Team Tinker have been repelled, at least for now. There's the life break onto the Tiny, but the relocate out. That'll keep him alive. Wisp will probably play that sacrificial lamb, unless, is he going to bring Tiny back with him? No, breaks the tether, and EGM will just die.
Still, if they cancel more TPs, that would have been absolutely incredible. But PR play is pretty smart. They have like a TP, 2 TPs in Fog of War on the very far back line. They get the most important TP of them all, but it is just one. Whereas Dream Coil could have the potential to cancel, keep 4 heroes on the bottom lane. Obviously, the Nature's Prophet has that pretty spammable teleport, but the other 4 are limited in that regard. So still, a nice attempt, but yeah.
Yeah, still good for Team Tinker, though. They got a 2-for-1 tower trade out of that, and they killed the Tide in exchange for their Wisp. So net worth-wise, they make out like bandits, a 3,000 swing in their favor, and now have the experience edge by a pretty decent margin. Not quite what they had hoped for, but yeah, still good. Koikva, he's got his Blink Dagger working on probably either a Yule's or the Scythe. 1,300 gold, so still pretty far off. Bulba now has his point booster, so of course looking for the Ags, but again, pretty far away from it. As now PR look towards the Roche Pit. They've got some Treants here to tank it up, and they will just move on in. Dire side, they have no vision of this quadrant of the map, but they're all in the vicinity. And somebody may poke their head over and look to scout this out. It is getting pinged with all of them missing off the map. There's the orb scouting through, and Team Tinker are now privy to it. You've got Tiny in the top lane, commencing the rat, and they're going to try to maybe go for this $1 million Dream Coil play here in the Roche Pit, where there is a much tighter vicinity.
Yeah, he just relocates to give him the overcharge here, and then might bring him in after the fact. But for now, they're going for the delay play. They only Dream Coil Huskar, though. He wasn't even TPing. This is delaying, but is it enough to get the racks?
They'll stop Cheshire Cat, and now the TP back from Cheshire. It looks like it. The tier 3's gone down, and the melee racks will fall also. So Sing Sing is made out like a bandit so far. The toss onto Cheshire Cat. 2 more womps will bring him down, but he doesn't have it. Sing Sing will just BKB, TP home. Nothing the stone can do about it. And they only lost their Ogre in that fight outside of the Roche Pit. Now, they did hand Roche over to the Radiant. Aegis was picked up by the Huskar, but all things considered, great exchange for Team Tinker once more.
Yeah, I honestly don't think this Aegis matters hardly at all. Right now, Team Tinker can win the game without getting their kill count above 11. They can honestly kill no more heroes and just keep playing like this. Keep going for the rat plays, and Power Rangers, they're really stretched. They have to have enough heroes to defend their base from the onslaught of the Tiny while still trying to make an offensive play. And throughout, even though we're 24 minutes in, they're already very limited in their options and how they approach that. They have to keep spread whenever they go for the big push, and even then you saw, like, one hero TPing back is not going to cut it. Cheshire Cat almost died. And along with that, I don't think Sing Sing intends to fight with this BKB almost at all. He has the ability with this, the draft that he's running against right now, to essentially use BKB only for TPs. He can use the first 5 or 6 seconds to fight or to clobber racks, more likely, and then TP back in the last 3, and there's nothing to cancel it.
Yeah, now Sing gearing up for some more Rat Dota play, looking for the Assault Karas off that Hyperstone, and soon to be level 16, so doing that much more damage to structures, and really feeling the benefits of that completed Aghanim Scepter. Other item progressions, Cat going for a BKB it looks like here, and he's got the gold for it just about, so he's in good shape on that front. How's PR doing item progression-wise? Looks like the Huskar has found a few core pieces, finished up that Halberd, and now gone into the Helm of the Dominator for more sustainability. A good choice there. And Seneko looking for that Ags on the Witch Doctor, and only 900 gold away. A potentially game-changing item with that Witch Doctor, and with the bouncing Death Ward, it can be pretty scary if you get a key Ravage. EGM will get gushed as Shotchlo blinks forward, but the rest of Team Tinker, they're pushing down bottom, looking for a tier 2 tower perhaps. Some TP's back, and Tinker will prepare to make the defense. No Glyph available. Viper Strike onto the Rolling Stone, but Koikva coil on 3 to get things started. The Stone in the front lines. Remember, he has the Aegis, so he's feeling okay about it. Sing Sing will press out of the base. BKB on, Wampin onto Shotchlo. Now the Aegis has been used. The Rolling Stone comes right back up. There's the Ravage, but only connects on Sing Sing.
Okay. Oh, he doesn't get it.
Yeah, both of them will fall. Instead, it'll be a 2-for-0 trade to get things started. Tiny buys back straight away. They're going into the Tier 3 tower. Avalanche on 3. That's delaying the push. Team Tinker doing everything they can to hold this off for now, but the sustain from Seneko doing so much here. The Voodoo Restoration just keeping them all topped off. Now Koifa gets dropped. Rolling Stone getting low, but that's when he does the big damage. Sing Sing takes a Malefice. That'll be enough to bring him down. It's a dieback for the Tiny. Now Team Tinker on the back foot. They're in big trouble. The Tide finally goes down. The Glyph is cooled down, but now Bulba, his life gets broken. He gets jumped on. They'll lose their big sustainer in the Witch Doctor, but Team Tinker only have one alive, and that's the Pycat. Their buyback status is looking very grim. Pycat has it if he dies, but now EGM is back up. Tethers the Pycat, trying to heal him up. They're just going straight for the structures. Down goes the melee barracks. Range will fall shortly after. And it will be a very successful team fight for Power Rangers. And oh, the Huskar almost TP's out, but the poison from Pycat enough to bring him down.
The tether slow keeps the racks alive. Are you kidding me? It's 4 HP.
4 HP.
The
Whoa.
Treant Protector should have had, or not the Treant Protector, the little baby Nature's Called Treant should have had that last hit, but its attack speed was slowed by tether, and it dies with 4 HP. I mean, it's going to die because it doesn't regen any HP, but it's still very annoying not to have that Rax right now. But yeah, I really think the most understated aspect of that was how well the lane position was for Power Rangers on the top and bottom lanes while they were pushing in the mid. You can't go for a play like that without worrying about the Rax. Oh, he's just TPing into the base. He says, screw you, Rax, you're mine. But yeah, you can't go for a play like that down the mid lane unless your lanes are pushed out. But Cheshire Cat had Nature's Call on top lane and on bottom lane, pushing out the wave so that even with the Rax disadvantage, the creeps were nowhere near breaking backdoor protection, and therefore Sing Sing had to go for the full fight. Nice Sprout as well, locking him down for majority of his BKB, meant, yeah, Team Tinker, they lost so much in the early stages, and they couldn't play the game they wanted to. They couldn't just play the Rat, they had to play the 5v5, and that's where PR shine.
So now all of a sudden, Power Rangers, they've got about a 2,000 gold lead. Experiences getting closer to 0. Tinker with a small advantage, and Sing Sing with the dieback, that really knocks him down on net worth. Relocate up top as a fight breaks out. They going on to J4 to start things off, but now the Ags upgraded Witch Doctor doing some pretty serious damage on the backside. Sing Sing, he's going to die. Or is he?
No!
Oh my
He
god.
will survive. Man, he's so tanky.
Oh
I mean,
my
even without
God.
any armor, that was so close.
Dude, that Craggy on the Tide, that was something else.
Yeah, I mean, you get +5 armor from Craggy Exterior. If he doesn't have that passive, he doesn't live. But luckily, he doesn't have to build up the plate mail aspects of his AC to live through that one. I would highlight it immediately if he had gone down. The fact that he went for Hyperstone over the plate mail for the AC. But as it is, he survives. And that would have been a huge death, because with no buyback, that probably would have signaled PR just walking right up to the top lane and taking a full lane of Rax.
Yeah, this is a surprisingly close game where it seems like Team Tinker were gaining the momentum. They've got this Tiny Wisp backdooring, or kind of backdooring the top lane of Barracks, but Power Rangers have answered back, and now this Huskar, he's looking pretty strong still. 3,100 gold up on him. We'll be looking towards another core item, a double damage rune that will expire now, but they'll go into the base. No glyph on the Dire, and PR will try to seize the day in this situation. Last time, they had a buyback from Tiny to try to make the hold, and they won't have that luxury. Still 2.5 minutes before Sing Sing will have it up, and Pycat, the only one with enough gold to buy back. If he dies, he'll still have plenty. Can PR find that right angle to initiate? They have all their ultimates, Ravage, the big one that they need, and this time a pipe on the Tidehunter to make it a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, they've got 2 BKBs up on the side of Team Tinker. They've got Bloodlust refreshed on both of them for the most part. Vipers is about to expire, but if they can get the tether off before one of them pops the BKB, if they coordinate it well, they still can do a lot of damage on the defense. And we're actually seeing a great flank come out from Koikva, finding Cheshire Cat in the jungle, but who caught who?
Yeah, Puck forced to orb out defensively. Meanwhile, on the other side, BKB'd Viper gets life broken by the Rolling Stone, who hops in, just laying in the auto attacks. Viper taking so much damage here. The Avalanche slowing down the Huskar, but the Sprout's there. It'll finish off the Viper. Pycat buys back right away. Ravage on 2. Tiny takes the Mystic Flare. EGM taking some right clicks, but will be able to survive as the pipe comes through. Team Tinker looking like they'll be able to make a hold as a multitask out on the Huskar. Now the puck coming in. A big Dream Coil to lock him in place. Cheshire Cat goes down. Sing Sing whomping him, but there's the Witch Doctor off to the side. bouncing around through the Death Ward, finds the kill on the Tiny, but they've taken heavy losses already. Buyback now onto the Nature's Prophet to get back in the fray. They've lost their Huskar and Koikva. Oh, it's going to be a dieback onto the Cheshire Cat. And Team Tinker will make the hold they needed, despite the beautiful ultimate from old Witch Doctor there.
Yeah, it was a really good one. Sneko immediately after dropping it decided to go for a TP away, but seeing Nature's Prophet commit, he stuck in, and this might cause another death. We'll see. 270 HP on Puck means he doesn't want to man up too hard, but he still wants to keep tabs on this Witch Doctor. Trying to phase shift the cask. In the end, he is going to get hit by the cat. Oh, nice silence coming out, and EGM's going to come in for the tether. This should be the kill the other way, but Koikva's so damn low.
Yeah, Cass bouncing around. Koikva will get caught by the Malefice. There's your phase shift. They will secure the kill on Witch Doctor, and there's plenty of heal to keep Koikva alive through the, or Maledict rather, not Malefice. Sorry about that. But Team Tinker, they clean it up, and they only need to use the buyback on the Viper. So not the most positive exchange in terms of net worth, but they do make the hold, and Power Rangers are completely repelled. They do no damage to the Tier 3 tower.
Yeah. It's worth noting that Viper almost didn't have to buy back. The relocate could have come through from EGM in just 1 second's time, but the second that the BKB had expired is when he fell. So there was no, if there was a interval for EGM to relocate, it was a fraction of a second. It was pretty much impossible. So yeah, the way it played out, they had to buy back of the Viper, but they hold. We'll see if it's enough for them to really spread out the map once again, because I think Cheshire Cat has really been able to get a hold of their game plan well enough to respond with this push from the Treants. Just keeping the creeps away from the base is all they need to do to prevent Team Tinker from being able to play their game. They look for an early rush spawn, but it is pretty much as early as you... Oh, it's 1 minute in, and it's not going to be up just yet. It's actually a really late spawn.
Yep. Sing Sing has 6 seconds on his BKB, so it's getting down there. And he may actually be in trouble. Ravage up in 4 seconds. He's just going to try to TP home. No way to interrupt it. And Sing Sing will survive this time around. Tide looking for a refresher. Just a Perseverance for now. Unless what's coming out on the Curry. Oh, just the smoke. So just a Perseverance now. But the double Ravage, always something to be wary of. There are 2 BKBs on the side of the Dire. And ooh, Koikva. He's actually gone into a Dagon on top of the Ultimate Orb. So getting a little bit of extra burst under his belt. And then looking for probably a Scythe.
Yeah, I'm actually not... I don't really have much to say about the Dagon. It's an item that you can get solo kills with very frequently. Maybe he was frustrated by how long the Witch Doctor lived. Maybe they just want to give him the quick zap. But honestly, it's just a casual pickup before he goes to the item that he really needs. With it is going to be that Hex.
Radiant structures are fortified.
So things slowing down a little bit. Both teams kind of going back to farming. The gold graph pretty irrelevant at this point. It's just been oscillating around that zeroed out mark. Neither side able to really grab a
only
strong
2,000.
edge.
Only 2,500 at most on either side. So it's not even just that like it's going back and forth, but it has never been a significant lead for either side.
Yeah.
And that's really just shows how close this game really is, because I honestly don't know who I would favor in this one. I think PR have a bit of an advantage just because it's Team Tinker that have to execute their strategy perfectly to actually take this one home, but I still think Team Tinker have a real chance of taking it if they play this absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. Now the Satanic is up on the Huskar. Great utility item there as long as he can keep the auto attacks flowing. May want to look towards a BKB himself before too long. As Ogre soon to have the Aghanim Scepter, just one piece away, less than 1,000 gold off, and that's when you start running the real RNG of well, the possibility for back-to-back triple casts, and when he hits level 16, a back-to-back 4X is just absurdly potent if you don't have a Black King bar.
So Koikva's buying out for this Dagon 2. He has essentially used all the gold that he could have bought back with and upgrades his Dagon once. I was already just kind of writing off the Dagon 1 saying that it's kind of a mistake, but who cares, go for the Hex. In this case, he's not only not going for the Hex, but he's buying out for it. He has some major game plan with this, and he really essentially just needs to take somebody out of the fight quickly with it. I don't know who is going to be the target. Maybe the Skywrath Mage before the pipe pops. He's looking for quick burst.
Maybe the Witch Doctor.
Is it really that valuable, though? We'll have to see.
Yeah, I mean, the Witch Doctor's pretty damn tanky. He's picking himself up the Ogre Club and looking towards a BKB, no doubt. We'll see initiation in the Roche Pit. as the Rolling Stone gets hopped on by the Tiny. Shotchlo comes in. BKB's used to plenty. He's womping down the Huskar, but he'll toggle that armlet. He'll be able to live for now. There's your Death Ward flying through. It's a dead Tiny to get things started. Not what Team Tinker were hoping for. As now the Huskar moves into the Roche pit. They'll converge on the high ground looking for Pycat. He will TP out. Ravage has already been used, and Koikva, he'll be on the high ground, and he'll be all right for now. So they do jumped on the Skywrath, but Skywrath for Tiny. Obviously a good trade for PR, but look at Koikva. His positioning, very elusive, no vision for the Radiant side, and he will be looking potentially for an Aegis snipe. Still has the Dream Coil, so if they want to contest this, could drop the big coil, but Roche getting low. If he wants to try to snipe it, he'll go in now. Silence, coil on 4. Now the follow-up as Wisp relocates in Pycat. They'll bring down the Witch Doctor straight away. Shotchlo without a Ravage. It goes down by the Dire. Puck is the one to grab the Aegis of the Immortal. It's been completely sniped by Team Tinker. A lot of low health heroes on the side of the Radiant. They don't secure the kills. Cheshire Cat will TP out, and Koikva lives with the Aegis Immortal still in tow. Boba, he may not be so lucky. Rolling Stone will jump on him, but EGM, no relocate, will tether up his friend. Pycat now coming in with a Viper Strike onto Huskar. Do they actually have the damage to bring him down? Nether Toxin, it's enough, and the Huskar bites the bullet. Team Tinker coming out way ahead across the board there.
Yeah, that was incredibly good. Like, I couldn't imagine a better way to actually have that happen. It seemed like that was just going to be another easy Roche, and we've seen that the Aegis is actually really impactful on a hero like Huskar. And yeah, we just see that Koikva is able to sync up with this Wisp well enough to make the big plays happen. Especially looking at it, like, you usually don't consider a Viper as the stand and deliver hero that can just take on the world, but with the overcharge, anybody can really be a carry, and especially with the crit coming out from the Viper, he's able to put out a lot of damage and just enough. But I really think the biggest thing there was just Koikva's quick fingers taking the Aegis. If somebody else on the side of Power Rangers gets the Aegis the Immortal there, the fight's very different. But getting that extra life, not even having to use it, so he's got it for a few more minutes here. Koikva, MVP right there.
I can't disagree with that one, my friend. J4 will get bumped into. No gem on either of these heroes. There is a Vladimir's offering now up on the puck, so EGM still itemizing very well, of course, adding some extra damage to the Tiny, but more importantly, giving him that lifesteal without taking an item slot. So Sing Sing is hitting hard and now has a lot more sustainability, a huge amount of armor to boot. And J4 just scouting out the turf with that invisibility rune. And maybe they'll look to jump on Sing Sing as they are starting to converge.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the BKB, they've got the defensive relocate, but there are still ways that they could find that opening to catch them off guard. But at least for now, they don't have the flank, they don't have that invis anymore. And, I mean, the big thing I would have to say is that PR don't have anything in the makings of a Hex. Like, we do see that Cheshire Cat is going to be there soon, but the fact that they don't have it right now means they have very limited pick-off potential. So they have to go for the 5v5, which I gotta say I still favor them, but one interrupt on Snakeo's Death Ward, and it might be a different story. This Viper is actually starting to hit really hard.
Yeah. And Shotchlo now getting pretty damn close to that refresher. Perseverance, 2,500 gold. That's close, but not quite a cigar yet. As down bottom, TT, they'll go for the split push play. The Wisp and Tiny will hang around, moving into the tier 3. Tide will TP out, as will Sineko. Koikva thinking about some coils here. Where's it at? He whips it! Oh, Koikva, my friend. He won't even get the kill on J4. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, Sing Sing and EGM have been repelled. And Sing Sing will get left behind here. He's caught inside of the Sprout. The relocate out just in the nick of time. That'll keep the Tiny safe, but Wisp will have to die for his woes, I think. Yeah.
I don't know what happened with Ty's TP there. It's great that everybody else got theirs off and Koikva didn't cancel more, but Ty was in the best position to avoid getting Dream Coiled, and then or he was actually the one to just click the ground or something to actually cancel his TV. So that Power Rangers, they're still able to get the pick off on the Wisp as he rubber bands back. No way out for him. But Team Tinker are still okay to delay this. I mean, as long as they can stop the siege from coming, if they can prevent this tier 3 from going down up top, then yeah, they're going to be able to still keep themselves in the game. So it's going to just delay it a few more minutes. We might see the Aegis expire without being used, and we do see the Hex coming out for Nature's Prophet. So it's not all bad that the game is being delayed, but if the game was ending in 45 minutes' time, it would be in the hands of Power Rangers. Team Tinker still need to drag this out further.
Yeah, Tiny is number 1 on net worth, but not by a big enough margin just to have that snowball totally out of control. Huskar now with a plate mail, getting that much tankier, as we'll see. Is sort of a similar scenario. Once more, Koikva hiding in the tree line, ready to have that $1 million style Dream Koi to interrupt these coil to interrupt these TPs home. As Tiny moves into the base, they will just TP back this time. It looks like Team Tinker will look to take a bit more of a straightforward fight. Seneko off to the side, great positioning for a huge Death Ward. Skywrath Mage will get picked off by the puck around the backside as Koikva comes in with the Dagon. It is now level 4, so that's part of the power of it. They'll go in onto the Rolling Stone. Still no BKB there. Now BKB is used as the Death Ward comes through, but the Witch Doctor gets focused down. The Ravage doesn't do a hell of a lot. And now Team Tinker looking to bring down the Huskar. Can they actually do it? Bulba very low, continuing to throw out the stuns. Pycat on the other side of the fight. They're losing all their supports. A Rolling Stone, he's going to go down, and it's a full 5-man wipe. Pycat with the triple kill, and Team Tinker getting a 1 for 5.
Yeah, the team fight mechanical abilities are not there for Team Tinker naturally with their heroes, but actually relocate bottom. They have the backdoor protection broken. This is going to be some real damage with only the Tide being able to buy back. But it's just Koikva is playing this amazing puck that's like a one-man wrecking crew. He's able to follow through on his own initiations, and now the Viper is big enough to obviously stand and deliver as well. So finding that pick off on the Skywrath, PR don't disengage fast enough, and it's just a daisy chain of death for them, and they obviously lose the second lane of Rax on top of that. They have lost all control of this game, and it's off of some really great rat plays and some really great snipes and control from Koikva.
Yeah. Well, Tinker getting a lot out of that. I think needless to say, Sing Sing now with 5,600 gold. So he's going to be looking towards his next big item, whatever it may be. Probably a crit would be my guess. Or a butterfly, 2 very great late game items on the Tiny. It is now a level 5 Dagon on Puck, I believe. Nope, still level 4, but Koikva with a lot of gold in the bank. He may finally want to grab that Hex, but you've come this far, you might as well just finish it off and grab that level 5. Looking at the graph, the biggest lead we've seen this game by far, Blaze, now about 20,000 gold.
Yeah, and that's just the real state of affairs. It was completely up in the air until that last fight, but you just get the solo pick off on the Sky. They don't have a team fight nearly as well because of the BKBs. So BKB will cancel out the Ravages. Skywrath is usually one that will say, okay, I'll wait for the BKBs to expire and then jump in and kill somebody with Mystic Flare. But just too low of HP. He's a glass ion cannon, has not even 1,200, and he goes down quick. Witch Doctor obviously is the best target, but he is even more reserved, and he's got a lot more HP. So just finding the openings, finding the opportunities. Now they look to pursue onto Sing Sing. They do get the ultimate onto him, the life break, but he gets tossed away, and they relocate out. At worst, another Wisp death, but again, they're not on the dire side of the map, and they're being pushed in on 2 lanes.
Yeah, Tiny just gives him that, get out of my face, you silly troll. EGM will come back to the lane, and
Really?
oh, he has an invisibility rune. Oh my gosh. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Shachalo, Tidehunter just gets obliterated.
He doesn't have buyback. That's a huge pickoff right there. They can actually just push to end within 60 minutes time, or 60 seconds time, fail. 60 minutes, I think that would be a little long, but...
That'd be a little much, yeah. They will at least get this tier 2 tower mid, but yeah, Tide made an odd choice to go for the pieces of the refresher, but didn't even get the refresher. He does have buyback now, so just barely enough gold for it. And tier 2 mid will go down. If he buys back, say goodbye to your refresher orb at this point.
Yeah, that's just not an option for them. But I don't think that Team Tinker are willing to try to force a buyback, because the Tide can still look to pursue with Blink, and it gets scary. You can lose so much more just for trying to prompt that. Like, if it was a carry pickoff, yeah, trying to force a buyback would give you a huge opening later on. But as a Tide pickoff, it's important for him to be dead, but it's not enough to risk going high ground and forcing that buyback. So we will see that he will be able to just wait it out, and in the meantime, Team Tinker get a lot of great farm across the board in the Radiant jungle. They are in a commanding position in this game, and yeah, the crit on Tiny is pretty interesting here. It's not the item that will demolish towers, but they've already taken 2 lanes. They don't need to rat it out anymore. They can just kind of be the men of the situation. They can jump into the front lines, and they can obviously handle this Huskar. Satanic is amazing for lifesteal, but you cannot lifesteal against 2 massively farmed carriers just critting you down.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And the Tiny now, I mean, he has the Bloodlust, so he doesn't really need more attack speed. You'll see some Tinies like the Butterfly. It's a good item for sure. Up top, Cheshire Cat, he gets caught out, and Bulba will help secure that one with a couple of multicasts. And And this Aghanim Scepter on Ogre lets him scale just fairly effectively towards the late game as PR just losing all control. Their jungle's getting cleared out. They're losing their Ancients, and Team Tinker just farming a lot more efficiently, getting pickoffs here and there. And the Graphs, both Golden Experience, still venturing further and further in the favor of Team Tinker. Looks like they will try to wait for next Roche, but it's another very long spawn, close to the max. Though in the interim, Viper's had the opportunity to farm up a Butterfly of his own and still maintain enough gold for buyback. This Viper is damn farmed.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't actually have the tools to deal with them anymore. Like, maybe if the Witch Doctor had a BKB to guarantee the full death ward, then there might be enough damage, or maybe if that refresher came out on the Tide. But as it is now Power Rangers that are looking for the solo pickoffs. They need to get a Hex play, and they need it soon. If they don't get somebody just singled out 100%, maybe kill off Sing Sing and put him in the ground for a while, the carries are too farmed. This Viper is as massive as you can get, just about. He's got 2 slots to go, the BOTs, and I don't even know what you go beyond that. Like, I've seen Manta Style, of course, there's a lot of value in that purchase, but yeah, here there's just, I mean, you're at this critical mass. You can do anything you want, and you'll be able to go for so much. They look for the Invade of the Pit, they cancel a Ravage, they find a Lowly Wisp, and that'll be the solo pickoff that at least gives them a few more minutes.
Yeah, big smoke rotation that takes a lot of their resources, and only the pick on Wisp, but that may be enough just to delay Tinker from moving into the Roche pit. Roche up in just a couple of seconds here. I don't think they're still that comfortable doing it, even without the Wisp. We saw the work that Quick was able to do last time. And now Pycat, he gets silenced, jumped on. There's the life break. And he'll turn and try and do as much damage as he can. BKB online, right-clicking, but he's taking a lot of damage here. Seneko manages to keep channeling the ultimate, will survive to tell the tale. The buyback from the Wisp as well as the Viper, as this Huskar going blow for blow with Tiny, but he's not winning. There's your Ravage. That'll lock him in place. They've already lost their supports off to the backside. Quickma's been cleaning house while we're watching the carries go blow for blow. They'll finally bring down Huskar with a set of multicast, and it's another 5-man wipe. The Tiny still falls, but it doesn't matter. The GG well played is called. They don't have the buybacks they need, nor the cooldowns. And Team Tinker will take the win 35-29 after a very back-and-forth match of 47 minutes worth of gameplay.
That was absolutely incredible. It's just the way they played that game in general is just showing their overall sense of how the game progresses, knowing how to create space, create timing windows, and just create these overall opportunities to get to this level. They still farm very efficiently while they're pulling all these shenanigans across the map. I mean, you look at the GPM, 600 for the Viper, 630 for Sing Sing's Tiny, and you compare that to the entire side of the Radiant. Not only do they lose out on kills long term, but Huskar's just not a hero that can farm. 217 last hits is solid, but it doesn't have anything on 325 from Viper and 478 from Tiny. He just isn't the flash farmer, and they knew they could drag this one out. So they play it well. In the end, the crits do in the Huskar in the final fight, and yeah, that was just a really, really solid game from Team Tinker. I'm impressed.
Yeah, absolutely. So even Power Rangers, though, they put up a very good fight with that kind of, quote, odd pick in 5th picking Huskar, and they made it work. It wasn't a rollover, and hell, they almost took this game, gave Tinker a run for their money. But that wraps up our coverage for the Summit 2 EU by G2A.com today, folks. I'm Zyori, he's Blaze. If you enjoyed the cast, give us a follow on Twitter, at ZyoriTV, at BlazeCasting, both of which can be found in the title of this broadcast, and of course at Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with all things for this tournament and what's happening in the studio. There will be coverage tomorrow, though right now on the schedule there's just one game at 20:30 CEST, Fnatic versus Moscow 5, so it will be a small day of coverage. Then after that, we get into some of the big matches from the non-stop coverage here. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see y'all tomorrow.